Today, I am doing my first ever Rosemaling painting. I believe that's the pronunciation. It could be Rosemaling. It's basically rose painting, and it's a type of folk art from Norway. I am not a painter. This is just part of my process of embracing my Norwegian ancestry. My mom was a painter. I didn't really paint with her ever, I don't think, after childhood. I'm sure she would have happily painted with me. You think of all these things later once your parents pass. While I paint, I'm going to read to you a story by Hans Christian Andersen. All of his work is in the public domain, and you probably know him from stories like The Ugly Duckling and The Little Mermaid, but he's written a lot of other things that just haven't gained the same kind of notoriety. So I'm going to read something called The Flax, a short story called The Flax, written in 1850. And I decided to do some blue and yellow painting to coincide, I suppose, with the story. I kind of regret that. I don't love this blue. And I'll tell you, I am working with cheap dollar store paints and a unsteady hand. But here we go. Let's begin. The flax stood in blossom. It had pretty little flowers, smooth as a moth's wings, and even more delicate. The sun shone on the flax, and the rain clouds moistened it, and this was just as good for it as it was for the little children when they are washed, and afterwards they get a kiss from their mother. They become much prettier, and so did the flax. The people say that I stand uncommonly well, said the flax, and that I'm fine and long and shall make a capital piece of linen. How happy am I? I'm certainly the happiest of beings. How well off I am. And I may come to something. How the sunshine gladdens, and the rain tastes good and refreshes me. I'm wonderfully happy. I'm the happiest of beings. Yes, 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 said the hedge stake. You don't know the world, but we do, for we have knots in us. And then it creaked mournfully. Snip, snap, snurr. Boss say lura. The song is done. No, it is not done, said the flax. Tomorrow the sun will shine, or the rain will refresh us. I feel that I'm growing. I feel that I'm in blossom. I'm the happiest of beings. But one day, the people came and took the flax by the head and pulled it up by the root. That hurt. And it was laid in water as if they were going to drown it, and then put it on the fire as if it was going to be roasted. It was quite fearful. One can't always have good times, said the flax. One must make one's experiences, and so one gets to know something. But bad times certainly came. The flax was bruised and scutched and broken and hackled. Yes, it did not even know what the operations were called that they did with it. It was put on the spinning wheel, whir, whir, whir. It was not possible to collect one's thoughts. I have been uncommonly happy, it thought, in all its pain. One must be content with the good one has enjoyed. Contented, cadented, oh. And it continued to say so, even when it was put into the loom, until it became a large, beautiful piece of linen. All the flax to the last stalk was used in making one piece. But this is quite remarkable. I should never have believed it. How favorable fortune is to me. The hedge stake was well informed, truly, with its snip snap snurr, bossa lura. The song is not done by any means. Now it's beginning in earnest. That's quite remarkable. If I've suffered something, I've been made into something. I'm the happiest of all. How strong and fine I am. How white and long. That's something different from being a mere plant, even if one has a flower. One is not attended to, and only gets watered when it rains. Now I'm attended to and cherished. The maid turns me over every morning, and I get a shower bath from the watering pot every evening. Yes, the clergyman's wife has even made a speech about me and says I'm the best piece in the whole parish. I cannot be happier. Now the linen was taken into the house and put under the scissors. How they cut and tore it and then pricked it with needles. That was not pleasant. But 12 pieces of body linen of a kind not often mentioned by name, but indispensable to all people, were made of it a whole dozen. Just look, now something has really been made of me. So that was my destiny. That's a real blessing. Now I shall be of some use in the world, and that's right. That's a true pleasure. We've been made into 12 things, but yet we're all one and the same. We're just a dozen. How remarkably charming that is. Years rolled on, and now they would hold together no longer. It must be over one day, said each piece. I would gladly have held together a little longer, but one must not expect impossibilities. They were now torn into pieces and fragments. They thought it was all over for now, for they were hacked to shreds and softened and boiled. Yes, they themselves did not know all that was done to them. And then they became beautiful white paper. Now that is a surprise, and a glorious surprise, said the paper. Now I'm finer than before, and I shall be written on. That is remarkably good fortune. And really, the most beautiful stories and verses were written upon it, and the people heard what was upon it. And it was sensible and good, and made people much more sensible and good. And there was a great blessing in the words that were on this paper. That is more than I ever imagined when I was a little blue flower in the fields. How could I fancy that I should ever spread joy and knowledge among men? I can't yet understand it myself, but it really is so. I have done nothing myself, but what I was obliged with my weak powers to do for my own preservation, and yet I have been promoted from one joy and honor to another. Each time when I think the song is done, it begins again in a higher and better way. Now I shall certainly be sent about to journey through the world, so that all people may read me. That is the only probable thing. I've splendid thoughts, as many as I had pretty flowers in the old times. I am the happiest of beings. But the paper was not sent on its travels. It was sent to a printer, and everything that was written upon it was set up in type for a book, or rather for many hundreds of books, for in this way a very far greater number could derive pleasure and profit from the book than if one paper on which it was written had run around the world, to be worn out before it had got halfway. Yes, that is certainly the wisest way, thought the written paper. I really did not think of that. I shall stay at home and be held in honor, just like an old grandfather. It was on me the writing was done. The words flowed from the pen right into me. I remain here, and the books run about. Now, something can really be done. I am the happiest of all. Then the paper was tied together in a bundle and put on a shelf. "It's good resting after work," said the paper. "It is very right that one should collect one's thoughts. Now I'm able for the first time to think of what is in me, and to know oneself is true progress. What will be done with me now? At any rate, I shall go forward again. I'm always going forward." One day, all the paper was laid on the hearth in order to be burnt, for it must not be sold to the grocer to wrap up butter and sugar, and all the children in the house stood around. They wanted to see it blaze. They wanted to see among the ashes the many red sparks which seemed to dart off and go out one after the other so quickly. These are the children going out of school, and the last spark of all is the schoolmaster. One often thinks he has gone already, but he always comes a little after all the others. All the old paper, the whole bundle, was laid upon the fire, and it was soon alight. "Ugh," it said, and burst out into bright flame that mounted up higher than the flax had ever been able to lift its little blue flowers, and glittered as the white linen had never been able to glitter. All the written letters turned for a moment quite red, and all the words and thoughts turned to flame. "Now I'm mounting straight up to the sun," said a voice in the flame, and it was as if 1,000 voices said this in unison, and the flames mounted up through the chimney and out at the top, and more delicate than the flames, invisible to the human eyes, little tiny beings floated there, as many as there had been blossoms on the flax. They were lighter even than the flame from which they were born, and when the flame was extinguished and nothing remained of the paper but black ashes, they danced over it once more, and where they touched the black mass, the little red sparks appeared. The children came out of school, and the schoolmaster was the last of all. That was fun, and the children sang over the dead ashes. "Snip, snap, stirry, boss, say lura." The song is done. But the little invisible beings all said, "The song is never done." That is the best of all. I know it, and therefore I am the happiest of all. But the children could neither hear that nor understand it, nor ought they, for children must not know everything. And that is the end of The Flax by Hans Christian Andersen. I hope you enjoyed my not perfect painting and my not perfect reading. I think there's something really beautiful about this story, and it's a look at the cyclical nature of life, about transformation and endurance and even immortality. As you can see at the end of the video, I went on to make another piece. I thought I could get it a little bit better, and perhaps I did. 2% so. But that's okay. As we learned in the flax, there is growth through suffering. All right, I will try this again another time. Thanks for sticking with me.